welcome to the AOS Crowd, your favorite competitive Warhammer Age of Sigmar channel. I am Quinn, and I am joined today by Big
Big Phil,
Phil.
finally
Yes,
back.
we love Big Phil. So, Big Phil, how are you doing? What's been
Yeah,
happening? Hobby
feels
update?
feels like it's been a while. Um, my hobby update. So I think since I last spoke on the channel was about bloodshed in the Shires. So that's almost 2 months ago now. Um, I've been kind of fully focused on my team event that's coming up this weekend that I'm hosting at Element Games. We're going to have the Tough Crowd and Team Lit doing post-tournament reviews on that one in the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes out for those. The outside of that, just been playing lots of games, um, dabbling in the latest things from the battlescroll. So I've been playing some Nighthaunt, Vec. Been enjoying playing with your Stormcast Eternals list, just to change
Ooh,
things up a little bit. Um,
juicy.
yeah, I just think it's always beneficial to play different play styles. It just gives you much
Hmm.
more visibility on how the game operates at all areas of the table. So
Yeah.
been really good. But yeah, my event has taken up an awful lot of time recently. So I've been formulating all my captain's packs. I've had a few drops unfortunately, and trying to like reschedule those. Changing in lists, making sure that's all okay. But yeah, touch wood, it's all done now, and we can move on this weekend, and hopefully
Hmm.
everyone will enjoy themselves. Have you been?
I've been doing well, but actually, I did want to ask a quick question. We're on day 80 of the year. Rep check. How many games have you played?
God, how many games? I'm gonna have to refer to my spreadsheet.
The
Day
infamous
80.
spreadsheet.
So bearing in mind, this doesn't include any TTS games, of which um, I have to play a certain amount every week due to Team England commitments. Um, I have played only 76 games. So, yeah, 76.
Only 76.
I usually average one a day, so they're rookie numbers.
That is true. So you're a bit behind.
Yeah, got some catching up to do.
Hmm.
But if I added TTS, I'd probably be closer to 100.
I was about to say, you play a lot at TTS. If I check for myself how many reps I've done, I'm only on 50.
Oh, yeah, God, pump those numbers up, buddy.
I'm slacking. I'm slacking.
Yeah,
It's rough.
all from
Um,
you.
yeah. Basically, this leads me to my hobby update, actually. I've been chatting to Matt about the Alliance Open Team event. The video has already been released. You can check it out in the end cards at the end of the video, or in the video description, or through our profile. Yeah. Unfortunately, as of right now, our Spotify is still broken, so you won't be able to listen to it. Not sure what's going on there. It's been broken for weeks.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've been busy building my own feck. I've been busy playing Stormcast Eternals and preparing with the Austrian national team for Worlds. I'm very, very keen to get started on like the nitty gritty of pairings and organizing like team scrims against other nations and such. So I'm pretty hyped, is what I'm trying to say. Um, but for the next, after Brothers War, that'll probably have to go onto the back burner because I am in my final year of studies and I'm writing two bachelor theses in a semester. I'm crazy. Um, but I'm still keen to get out there, edit videos, do the hobby, do the thing, have fun. Yeah.
got to learn all that feck now as well.
Yes. I've had like 14 games with Feck, I think.
Okay.
So I'm sort of getting the hang of things right now. I've
It
also
just
been
dies, comes
experimenting.
back, beats your opponent, and
Yeah,
does it all over again. Yeah.
exactly. But yeah. Ooh, great idea. Something that was mentioned in one of the comments of the previous of one of our previous videos. I think it was under the German Club Championship video. Someone asked, "I'm actually curious about something you mentioned. Gauging your opponents and how you think you'll do against a certain list. I'm always very conservative when figuring out whether or not I can or can't win. Can you guys talk about that part of the teams format, perhaps?" Which I find to be a great question. A lot of people struggle with, like, gauging enemy opponents' lists and whether they'll do well or not so well against them. But Phil, what's your take on this?
Um. So I guess I will approach this from my point of view first, and then I'll talk about perhaps more a generic point of view afterwards. So for myself, I'd actually find gauging my opponents or their lists like very hard to do a matrix on, mainly because I play so many games with my army before going into an event. I have a really good fundamental understanding of A, the scenarios it wants to play, and B, the list archetypes that it wants to play against. So um, I try and avoid putting any ambers in my pairings matrix as much as possible because what your captains will find is they're really hard to pair into. So you're looking to try and get as many greens as possible um, to help your captains essentially get the best pairings process. So I try and lean into greens or reds, and again, I find this quite straightforward in terms of the reps.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, my last team event was Brotherhood, um, and I took New Fek. Um, I played like 50 games with the army in maybe 3 weeks. Um, so I knew it inside out. I backed myself into basically every combat army, just being able to out recur it. Um, and then the other aspect of the question, I guess, gauging your opponents. I'm quite cutthroat on that. Um, I know most of my local community or national community, really. Um, and this is going to sound really egotistical. Um, if I don't know who you are, or I perceive you to play at a type of level that is perhaps beneath what I'd normally operate at, um, I'll just put you as a green, unless you're playing like a hard red. Um, I'll just back myself into players 90% of the time, um, regardless of um, list. However, if you can't get the amount of games in that I get in against like testing against all the meta armies and getting multiple reps in to make sure that you have a clear fundamental understanding of what the outcome of that game should or should not be. Um, the best thing is to narrow it down to archetypes. So, are you good into combat armies? Yes, no. Are you good into shooting armies, etc.? And trying to group them together. Um, Alternatively, like if you play other armies and you haven't played that matchup yet, you should have a good understanding of how the army wants to play, and you should know if you can or can't beat it. Um, with that being said, I would tend to lean on the side of caution opposed to being aggressive with your pairings and leaning the other way because again the people that are doing your pairings for you can maybe try and help protect you and get you into matchups where you have a better belief of that you can win those matchups, opposed to going, I think it's okay, so I'm going to put it as a green, and then you realise it's a hard red. I'll do it that way. What are your
Mhm.
takes on it, Quinn?
I have somewhat of a different perspective on this since I'm usually part of like the pairing squad. I myself tend to then play armies that go well into most armies and are better at taking bad matchups than smashing good ones. So close games are usually what I try to play with my armies in team events. And to be perfectly honest, that also changes the way I think about my own list and how I approach the pairing process. Because even though I gauge a list as maybe more towards an amber, uh, looking at the matrix during the process and seeing, oh, we've got way too many reds. If they put down what we suspect they're going to put down, then I myself am willing to make last minute like changes and say, okay, if this is an amber, I'm going to tend towards a green, which then frees up another option in the matrix. So basically, not only relying on a Google Sheet or a software or whatever, but also relying on your personal intuition of what is best for the team when you're on the pairing squad can also influence how you make that decision. Um, but in all other points, I have to agree with Phil. He's explained it wonderfully, and I hope that helps. Yeah.
Yeah. What I will say is, if people do have any questions that they want to ask, do throw them in the comment section, and we will try our best to pick them up and answer them in upcoming videos.
Yes.
I think it's a great question, especially around teams, um, because there aren't a huge amount of teams events out there for people, and it could be people attending their first ones, etc. So, yeah, fire any questions in either in the YouTube comments or on our Twitter page. So,
Yes. Of course,
yeah,
we'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible, but due to the nature of real life, we might not be able to answer them immediately. So we do ask for patience. And sometimes if you may ask really intelligent questions, we might need a while to think about it ourselves before we can give like an easy, comprehensible answer without going into astrophysics for like an explanation. But without further ado, we're here to talk about an event. Phil, talk
yeah.
us through your list.
So I decided to take Nighthaunt to the England practice weekend, which is more commonly known to everyone as Sheffield Slaughter. So I believe Battlescroll dropped on the Thursday. List submission was the Saturday, um, and I was in a bit of limbo with what I wanted to play. Like I knew Feck was going to be really popular, um, and I didn't just want to jump on the bandwagon and go and play it with everyone else. So I thought, you know what? Time to dust off the little Nighthaunt lads and take them for a run out and see how Battlescroll affected them. Even like the little change of getting the 2-inch reach, I found to be pretty amazing. So I decided to take a Cruciator, double Spirit Torment, Guardian of Souls. Um, I believe it was just 50 Blade Geists. Um,
Yep.
and then I had 2 units of Hex Wraiths, which were like my pinning engine or early surround and destroy. Unit of Spirit Hosts, Chain Ghasts, and Mirror Room Banshees, which were absolutely MVPs, which we'll go through in like subsequent reviews shortly. But yeah, the list basically played as a mobile castle. It likes to stay within that 12-inch bubble, and then has the ability to explode out um, when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was certainly a lot of fun. The Cruciator still does unbelievable work. Lots of people at the moment are paying a premium for high rend or multiple damage. So being able to reduce that damage and then your whole army having a 4-up ethereal save does make it quite dicey for people to go in and commit to lifting things, as quite a lot of people found out at the weekend. Like, it just takes you to spike a couple of times, and all of a sudden your opponent's game plan has completely changed. With the double torment, if you're not wiping my units, just bringing 6 lads back at the end of the combat phase. So it's a real nightmare for your opponents to try and work round and take off key pieces without having to really overcommit. And then had a big 20 blob of Blade Geists, which were just the unit that once you got all the charge debuffs, just activate first and lift.
Yep.
So yeah, super fun. Would make some changes for the next event. Like, I would find a way of putting cogs in.
Yes.
Like, with cogs, there's an argument I win the event. Bleak, well, spoiler, I don't win it. I'll get onto why I needed a cogs when we get to game 5.
Oh no.
But yeah, it's a couple of changes, but super fun. I think the army's really strong, and it's one I'm definitely gonna play more in the future.
Lovely.
2-inch reach, definitely raised it, along with everything else kind of getting nerfed again. So no points deductions for Nighthaunt, but gaining 2-inch reach, and then books around them that have been really strong have been hit twice or 3 times since Nighthaunt were really good. So feels like they're back up there.
Lovely. I do have 1 or 2 questions, actually. Considering the couple of changes we've seen so far, why not go for the what are
Headsman?
those? Yes.
Yeah, so that is an additional thing I'd look to add in, and that would come at the expense of the chain ghasts and probably drop down to 40 blade geists, but add in the headsman and cogs. So really like the headsman because it basically gives you 2 -1 save debuffs with the way it manipulates its charges. So yeah, they have been purchased, and Luke Churchus is currently airbrushing them, and I will get given them this weekend. So I'll be
Lovely.
able to play with them properly shortly.
Great. And Scarlet Doom, of course, the Blade Guy sub-faction. Do you think you'll see more play out of the Quicksilver Dead or the Emerald Host as well? Or do you think those are more like teams lists?
Personally, I really rate Quicksilver Dead. I just don't own that many Harridans in the same amount that I own Blade Geists. I'm also a whore for efficiency, and when you can get basically all your units on 2s and 2s, I'm a big fan of that. Whereas the best you can get the Harridans is 3s and 3s. So there's little things. However, just being able to turn off ward saves in the current edition is so strong. So yeah, still rate Harridans.
Yeah.
Emerald Host as well, right? Like, so many armies are so reliant on small heroes with low bravery, like Gitz, Skaven, and just the ability to just ping them for D3 mortals at the end of every turn or battle round, whichever way it is so valuable. Like, you know you're on a 2-turn clock as a Gitz player, and then all your heroes are dead. So, and you can kind of get most lists will, as standard, you'll have your 3 battle line and 2 Hex Wraiths and Spirit Hosts anyway.
Yeah.
And then you can just fill out either as Harridans or Revenants and the list doesn't change massively. Like
Mm-hmm.
you lose a few mortal wounds, cool. I've still got the same amount of charge debuffs, and
Yeah.
you're just going to pick all your toys up. So, yeah.
It's great to see the Night Haunt so resurgent after they've been not necessarily at the back of the meta like Bone Splitters were, but just all these Night Haunt players that I know from my community, they're all of a sudden resurgent. They're taking their Blade Geists off the shelves, carefully dusting them off so that they don't break off their base, and just pushing them across the field. And they seem so happy, and I'm so happy for them. I can't wait for the time that the same thing happens to Bone Splitters, because I want my more boys to do well. But
You're
oh
going
well.
to stop playing Old World then?
Eh. um, Speaking of playing, there were 5 rounds at the event, so why don't we get started, right?
Yeah, so um, at the England practice weekend in Sheffield, I believe there were 16 or maybe 14 England players at the event, which I think is the most attended event from an England squad perspective, like ever.
Damn.
Um, we all grudged each other round one, which I think got some positive feedback on Twitter or
Hmm.
not. Um,
I recall
England ruining
something.
England ruining the event for everyone all over again. Little did they know, it actually meant they could avoid England players all weekend because I had to play them all. So, um, yeah, so round one, I was grudged into the absolute babe of a human being that is Dom Stonebridge. And
Oh.
he decided to take Stormcast Eternals with Karazai, Ionis, Elfarion, like real hero hammer.
Hmm.
Played Lines of Communication, I believe, and he just couldn't really do anything. He didn't have enough output to lift me. I just sat in my castle on the middle objective,
Hmm.
um, and then I pushed out turn one, set all my screens up, and then we had the roll off after that. He barely came out of his deployment. I, in my turn one, dropped down 2 units of 10 Blade Geists. One charge went in, lifted 10. Are they the new Soulsworn guys? Again, paying a premium for that sweet 2
Yeah.
damage and rend.
Hmm.
Don't care. Um, and all of a sudden, his screen for Karazai was gone.
Ugh.
Which meant when I got the turn 2 priority, I just take it and blow Karazai away. I can then mortal wound Elfarion off the table with charging impact hits.
Hmm.
And then the game was basically all but over. Dom then had the opportunity to drop his Fulminators. They failed a charge. He then got priority into 3 so they could get in. But the game was pretty much done, and I believe it was like a 28-10 or something.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, I think
As a Stormcast Eternals player, me no likey.
yeah, I'm not sure if I lost a unit in its entirety. Maybe 10 Blade Geists. I think it was 10 Blade Geists that ended up
Cheeky.
being taken off. So yeah, that game was pretty straightforward, and I thought, oh, that's okay. Half the England boys will have been knocked out now,
Hmm.
so there's absolutely zero chance I'm going to play one of them game 2. I find myself on table 3.
Hmm.
Darren Watson. Oh, beautiful.
Ooh.
Got another Team England matchup. So
Hmm.
Darren was playing Stormcast,
What?
but this
No
time
way.
this time with an incarnate,
Ah.
which an incarnate can be a slight issue for Nighthaunt with the no retreat, because Nighthaunt want to retreat and charge as
Mm-hmm.
well as often as possible to get all the debuffs.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he cast Comet. The Banshees ate it, which saved a lot of mortal wounds. Um, had put my 30 Blade Geists up in the sky, so all 3 units of 10,
Mm-hmm.
so that I could hunt down his Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger,
Yeah.
so that when it teleported, I basically have a shot at coming in and nuking it. So the game ended up being quite close because he kept being able to score because we were playing limited resources.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the end I won by about 8 points, but it was certainly interesting. The Incarnate failed quite a key charge turn one,
Oof.
which meant he couldn't pin me. Thankfully, I did a redeploy that managed to block where it could go.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a case of, can I just lift the Incarnate before it has a chance to eat an endless spell if he manages to kill his Grift Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fortunately, I got the double turn, de-leveled it, killed it.
Nice.
And then it's just a case of trying to hunt down his Grand Strat, which was his Lord Arcanum. I spiked on the mortal wound impacts when 10 Blade Guys came down, did 6 mortal wounds, and then managed to lift him.
Ew. Disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. Even with the Comet, this is going all the way back to turn one now that I think about the game. He shot his long strikes into my Banshees, and again, this is the power of the 4-up Ethereal. Killed one Banshee.
Oh. Yikes.
Which obviously then meant they were still around for the Comet. But yeah, so that was quite an intense game that took almost all 3 hours of the round.
Okay.
Lots of thinking around limited resources and trying to maximise your scoring and everything. But yeah, really good game. Again, glad to get the win with Nighthaunt. And then 2 England players down. Up steps Andy Hughes. So
the next Team England player.
Team England again. So this was Soulblight.
Ooh, interesting.
Vordry, Manfred, Lucavi, 30 skeletons, blah blah blah. So turn one, he pushed out. I pushed out and lifted all 30 skeletons with multiple charges with Blade Geists. I was like, if I can take them off in one go and then get the turn, I'll start lifting more as I work along. I was like, that seems like my game plan. I then did get the double.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this now should mean I kill all the monsters. However, my dice just really abandoned me. I managed to kill Manfred, but I left Vordry on 2 wounds.
Oh no.
To get hit back twice. Got blizzarded by the Vampire Lord. So it ended up being quite a close game, but I ended up winning every single priority.
Oh, okay.
Which basically just kept me ahead. It's been ages since I played Soulblight, and one turn where it was important, I forgot about counter charge. And he just stopped my battle tactic, and it was really, really frustrating. But
that's the worst. That feels bad moment.
Yeah, these 3 Fellbats basically just pinned my whole army and was like, what the fuck have I done? Yeah.
Oh
So
no, the foul bats.
yeah, but like I say, fortunately, I managed to basically win every prio,
Mm-hmm.
and it enabled me to win by like 2 points. Soulblight just has
Close.
so many tactics where they just seem like autos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, really close game. Um, and then game four,
Yeah.
I finally avoided an England player. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Day two of the
round
event.
of applause for me. Yeah. So I played against Chris or Crockhammer on Twitter, who was playing
Mm-hmm.
Big War.
Mm.
Um, this was, with no offence to Chris, probably my easiest game of the weekend. So he left a lot of 9-inch gaps for
Mm-hmm.
stuff to drop down, like in his turn one.
Okay.
So he had 6 pigs, ragers, gobsprack, 10 brutes, 5 brutes,
Mm-hmm.
Wargog, etc.
Yeah.
Um,
The classic Big Wah boy band.
yeah. He deployed his 6 pigs where they were going to do nothing for like probably the whole game, and unless he got lucky with some turns.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my turn one, I took off 10 brute, the unit of 10 brutes, 5 brutes, and gobsprack. Mainly
Okay.
because he allowed me to drop in behind his lines.
Yeah.
So I got one charge off into Gobsprack with 10 blade guys. They lifted him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
10 blade guys then went into 5 brutes. And then 2 X-rays and 10 blade guys went into 10 brutes and just got all the like -1 save debuffs.
Yeesh.
Yes. So that game was really quick. I think it ended up
Mm-hmm.
being like a 28-5 maybe.
Ooh.
Um,
Not bad.
Not bad. And then, no surprises, Team
Round
England Warfare.
five.
Yeah. I got to play Jack Armstrong with Seraphon. So,
Oh.
yeah, I actually don't hate this matchup too much
Yeah.
for Nighthorn because of the Banshees. Because
Mm-hmm.
the Banshees count as unbinding when you
Okay.
target. So he doesn't get the like cosmic crush points or whatever they are.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, so it stopped him like doing the croak bomb too much on stuff that was near the banshees because of the threat of the unbind, because it's
Mm-hmm.
done on the casting value, not the casting roll.
Yes.
Um, However, I had probably the worst turn I've ever had in Warhammer on my like quote unquote go turn.
Oh no.
I think I had like 13 like charges into like his Saurus guard that were protecting Croak, and then if I get the double, like Croak's dead, or even if I don't get the double, like the 15 Saurus are gone,
Mm-hmm.
and I can get into the rest of his juicy stuff afterwards. I don't think I rolled one charge above a 4. So like
Ew.
I think
Oh
I think
no.
I think 10 Blade Geists ended up getting in, but like doing absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was like heart wrenching. So I got absolutely pulverized on the off the back of that.
Yeah.
Failed a couple of my Banshee spell ignores,
Yeah. Okay.
and then got doubled by Croak. And no one likes getting doubled by Croak, even if you have a 6-up wall save. So
Mm-hmm.
it ended up pretty abruptly after that. So I think it was quite a big win to Jack in the end, like a 20-0 on differential. When
Mm-hmm.
if more of my charges come off, it's potentially a 20-0 the opposite way. But
Okay. Yeah.
C'est la vie.
That's the game of dice.
Exactly, and they can't always be in your favour. So
Unless you have cogs, because then statistically you might just Reroll more charges.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Like, I even had the triumph. I
Ooh,
had the reroll. Nothing.
everything.
But yeah, that game showcased to me why Cox would come in, because it also gives you a guaranteed battle tactic because you
Hmm.
auto cast it, so you can do magical dom.
Yeah.
Magical dom against Seraphon's hard enough anyway. Um, so yeah, that game really made me think about how I'd change the list moving forward and trying to get Cogs in with the Midnight Tome. Um, so yeah, finished 4-1 with Nighthorn. Um, in
Hmm.
a really tough event run, to be
Yeah.
honest, um, which I think showcases the strength of the army, and hopefully we'll start seeing a lot more of it on the table.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, really, really pleased with it, especially considering I chose to play it 2 days before list submission,
Yeah.
um, and I probably only got 3 or 4 games in with it before the event, but it was really nice to have them back out on the table.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it also shows how well a battle scroll or a balance update can really shift an army into a direction that is more healthy for the army. Because I think before that change really occurred, the last time I recall seeing loads of blade guys on the table was when Galician veterans were around, and you could fight in 2 ranks with the 2-inch reach. That's basically the same thing. And Galician veterans were phased out more than 1.5 years ago. So,
Yeah, no, exactly. I think it makes a big difference. Those and Fire Slayers are obviously the two people that benefit
yes.
from this the most. And there's a lot of Fire Slayers at the event that weekend as well. So um, I think GW have been doing a great job with the changes that they make. And
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying it most of the time, like the game's probably in the best state it's ever been in.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we're probably going to have a new edition in 4 or 5 months. So we'll have to see what they do with that. But we've
Hey,
still got
we can
still got
hope.
time.
We can
Yeah,
hope.
exactly.
Trust in the Games
Exactly.
Workshop rules writer team,
Yeah,
playtesters, and the people in the printing factory that there are no misprints and stuff doesn't get broken immediately.
I'm sure we'll find a way to break it.
Oh, 100%. There's gonna be like 3 months where the game's unplayable because
Yeah,
I don't know. There's gonna be unrendable bone splitters running around or something like that.
yeah, something obnoxious. But yeah, and then I guess like overview of Sheffield Slaughter. Um, I think it's the oldest event in the UK.
Mm.
Um, venue really nice, lots of space, good quality terrain on all the tables. Um, pricing at the hotel for like drinks absolutely criminal, but it is a hotel.
Hmm.
Um, and they did pre-warn us based on prior years that the food wasn't the greatest, but at least they pre-warned everyone, so it was like a small buffet, which I
Hmm.
think, to be honest, was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Um, really good bunch of people. Like I say, it managed to get probably the most competitive event in the UK this year.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
in terms of player base, you had, like I say, all 16 England players. You then had 4 players from Norway fly over. Um, some of the Welsh team were there as well.
Hmm.
Northern Ireland, Ireland. So it felt like a really strong singles event. So, um, assuming it follows along that trend in future years, it's definitely one that I will continue trying to attend because I like playing events that have high quality players and lots of people. Um, I think like we had 20 of us go out for dinner on the Saturday night as well, so
Oh,
lots of
nice.
friends opposed to just good players.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, really good. Um, yeah, I think if you are looking at going, Sheffield Slaughter on Twitter is the place to get all the updates.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and then I guess our next events are this weekend, right?
Woo! Brothers War. Brothers
Yeah.
War in Stockport at Element Games, weekend of the 24th and 25th of March.
Yeah. So my first time TOing, which
Yes.
looking forward to. Um, Mostly just looking forward to seeing all the beautiful humans playing Warhammer and just hanging around with everyone.
Yep.
Just fingers crossed it all runs smoothly. I'm sure it will. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we will do a review with some members of the Tough Crowd, and
Yes.
then we will do a team lit review as well.
Yes. Um, and that note, speaking of reviews, the Alliance Open review is already up. As I mentioned before, you can watch it here on YouTube. It might not be out on Spotify. We'll notify you through Twitter or the YouTube community tab if we get access to the channel, to the Spotify account again, because somehow we can't access it. But yeah, if you're looking for something to watch to bridge the gap between then or between now and our next video, then fret not. There's quite a bit for you to enjoy. As always, links are in the description. We'll put our Twitter handles down there, the Sheffield Slaughter Twitter handle, and a couple of our latest videos for you guys to enjoy. And that is pretty much it. I don't have anything else to say other than I am hyped and that I hope my flight doesn't get delayed because
Hey, you
ah
got a good track record of that.
yeah, I do, and I hate it.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
be fine. I'm traveling with my partner. It's going to be great. If it's not going to grow great, I at least have someone to calm me down before I rip someone's head off.
Exactly. Um, and the final note: remember, you get no extra points for being a cunt.